What's up, my friends? It is Danny Gallows, of course, and welcome back to part number 9 of my Navy experience. So today I'm going to be regaling you all with the tale of my trip to Australia. Last time we left off with Hong Kong, now we're going into a completely new environment here with Australia. And it was one of the coolest environments I've ever been in my life. I still remember it to this day very, very vividly. Yeah, it all starts in port, of course, when we pulled into port for the first time. I don't remember actually pulling into port. I just remember being in the port for the first time. But I do remember that they gathered us up before they let us out into the world of Australia. They gathered us up together, of course, in our group, in our division, as they often did, to give us kind of like the safety briefing and stuff like that. And it was really funny because for the most part, you know, it was always serious. All these safety briefings and stuff were really serious. But this time, all of our chiefs and our petty officers, the guys that were in charge of us, were all telling us, look, you guys are going to be going off port here pretty soon. And this is why I think that Australia was probably the first place that we visited, because it was this speech that our chiefs and our officers and all of the leaders of our division gave us a speech about. Look, like, you guys are going to go off the boat, and basically these women are going to have their way with you. I said they're waiting for you to get off the boat. There are women for you in port, and in the city, just be safe. Remember to be safe. And I just remember some of the guys laughing at that because it was just so out of place for our even just our division leaders to be like talking about that stuff. It was just so out of place. But they wanted to make sure we were safe. Like, look, you guys, this is going to happen. You need to be aware of this. Like, just be aware, be safe. And it's funny because I remember like standing on the edge of the ship in port, and down below us were these female cadets, like just the same as us, tying the ship, the people would throw the ship's line off and then tie it to port. They were down there tying it up, and I remember being there, standing on the edge of the flight deck with the rest of my friends, and we were all sitting there like waving down and I'm like, oh, like, we're about to get off the ship, like, all right, and they're waving back up at us and everything. It was just like that nice moment of connection there, like American ship meets Australian ship. And of course they brought some of like the Australian officers and stuff on board the ship to take a tour and everything. But the first day that we were out, I remember that we didn't have that much time. It was just about we had a good amount of daylight left, but there wasn't, an exorbitant amount of time left. So we wanted to go out and just make the most of it. And I remember that the first day we went out to Australia, it was me and my buddy Matt and some of his friends. Matt, my bassist in my band. And I remember I just kind of like, I hooked up with him at some point and I said, hey, are you and your friends going somewhere? Yeah, let's go somewhere today, whatever. So we ended up going out in Australia, and the first thing we did was we went to like the parks and stuff like that. I wanted to check out the parks and the streets. And I remember we went to a souvenir shop, and Matt tried on this hat, like this alligator hat. It was like this stuffed animal alligator hat, and he looked so ridiculous in it. And I took a picture of it, and just the look on his face and the pose he was in with this ridiculous hat on. I think he had it as like his desktop picture for like the next couple of weeks. It was just the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. Matt would just had one of these ridiculous faces and personalities and stuff like that, so it just fit with him. And then we just spent the rest of our time just exploring the streets, just going up and down. I remember we went to like a convenience store and we got some chips, some Australian chips because we wanted to try that. Then we went walking down the street, and Matt's friend wanted to get in like a taxi, and hey, is there any clubs around here? Is there anything to do around here? And so we'd have a taxi take us around to like these basically different locations. Just there's spots to hang out and to experience things. And I remember crossing a bridge and taking a picture, crossing a bridge. And there's all this. Australia is very, very beautiful. It's just a big blue sky country with this beautiful blue ocean. But we didn't go to the ocean on the first day. The second day actually is when I went to the ocean. That was my most eventful day. And the second day I went out with my friend Jen Wise and Phil Welch. We called him Corgi. That was his name. He had an amazing singing voice. I'm still friends with him today, and Jen as well. Jen actually is still in the Navy. She's a first-class petty officer now in the Navy. I believe she might be in the reserves now. But yeah, her and Phil are still my friends to this day. I still keep in touch with them. And it was just, we went out together. It was her, me, and Phil, and we decided to just go out into the city and then take the subway, or I should just say it was like the trolley, basically, like, you know, like a transit trolley, all the way to the coast. And me and Jen had actually made a plan before that we were going to go get a tattoo in Australia. At that point, I only had one tattoo. This one here was the only one that I had at that point. So I was like, yeah, I want to get another tattoo, and how cool would it be to get a tattoo in another country? So we ended up taking this nice long trolley ride out to the coast and into like another part of the city. And I just remember we went to a clothing store that was located there in that little like beach community town, and we picked out a bathing suits for each other, you know, tried on some bathing suits and whatnot. And then we went out to the beach, which was literally right across the street. And being on an Australian beach is just magnificent. I mean, like I said, Australia is a big blue sky country, but when you get to the coast, I mean, there's a reason why they call that section of the Australian strand there the Gold Coast, and it's because the sand and the coastline is like gold. There's like this gold shimmer to the coast, and it was just absolutely stunning. And of course, the section that we were located in, we were the ship was docked at Perth, Australia. We didn't get to go to like, you know, any we didn't get to go to like Sydney and see like the Sydney Opera House and stuff like that. It wasn't that kind of like trip. It wasn't that. We went to Perth, Australia, which I believe is the one of the capital cities. It's a big city on the Gold Coast there on Australia, and it's just beautiful. Even the ocean looks completely different. It looks like it just looks like almost like blue Kool-Aid, like a dark blue Kool-Aid. It just has this almost like a glow to the ocean, this kind of like Gold Coast and then a blue glowing ocean, and it just shimmers in the water, and it's absolutely stunning and majestic to just be a part of. And I remember me and Phil went off to go play football with these guys. Like, he didn't even know them. Like, they were just tossing a football around the beach. He's like, I'm gonna go play football with these guys, and he just walked up to them and started playing football. And then me and Jen decided to go take a swim, and I remember like that she lost the top of her bathing suit for a moment in the water because it was a brand new bathing suit, and it was just funny because she didn't realize it, and she's trying to like cover herself up and everything, and she's like, I reached down and I felt a nipple, and she's just like, are you kidding me, Jen? Like, come on. Dude, she was hilarious. Also, one of my biggest supporters of my bands out in San Diego. She was always there as a huge part of the bands, big supporter of the bands. And I remember that I lost my sunglasses. I bought a pair of really cool sunglasses that I really, really liked. Still to this day, I think about these pair of sunglasses that I actually bought there in Australia, and I lost them in the ocean. What happened is I completely forgot I had them on my head, and I just like took a dive into the ocean and started swimming around, and then I came up out of the water, and Jen was like, hey, like where are your sunglasses? Like, and I was like, oh my god, like I've been swimming this whole time. It's like they came off, they're in the ocean somewhere, so my sunglasses are still out there, out to sea somewhere, off the Gold Coast of Perth. Yeah, so, and whatever though, you know, it's okay. How many times has that happened to us in our life, right? But then after that, you know, we got out, we dried off and everything, got back into our clothes, and then we went over to, I believe the name of the tattoo shop, I still remember it to this day, was Skin FX in Perth, Australia. And I went over to the tattoo shop, and Jen got her tattoo, and I got my tattoo. And if you guys are wondering which one it is, it's actually 3. You could count it as 3, but I got them done at the same time. My 3 red stars, 1, 2, and 3 right there, those were done in Australia. And it's really cool because I just, like, you know, every time I look down, I can see literally a piece of ink and a piece of my body that was done in another country, another part of the world. And I hope to do this more too, you know, like as I travel more, you know, like especially on this vlog channel, it's something that I want to do in the future is I want to travel more. I want to actually save some money, get some money together to go on trips and sometimes even go outside of the country. And I definitely want to get more ink. I want to get inked up from more spots from around the country. Because it was really cool. It's just a really cool thing to look down and know that you got that in another country. I always have that with me as a part of me. And I have to say, the guy who did the work on my tattoo, he was just an amazing artist. The cleanest lines you've ever seen in your life and the most vivid colors that you've ever seen in your life. They're just three simple stars, but I mean, he did it freehand, and it looks like they were like he did it with a ruler or something like that. The lines are so straight and so bold and vivid. One of the best tattoo artists I've ever had in my life, and yeah, I miss it. You just recalling stories like this, I really miss it. I really miss being back in the chair, and I will soon. I will again soon, definitely. And after that, I just kind of, I have kind of like jumbled memories after that, kind of, because I know that I had duty one of the days. We were there, I think, for 4 days in port, but I had duty one of the days, so I couldn't go outside the ship. And I just have memories, like I said, just kind of like memories from here and there. I remember going to like a club at night. I think it might have been like on my last day. I went to a club with Jen and my buddy Owens, and we just kind of like watched people dance and had like really expensive drinks and just kind of soaked up the environment of being in an Australian club. And I remember going to a clothing store during the daytime with Matt when he was off duty. We went clothing shopping. Kind of odd. I wanted some Australian clothes. I wanted some like fashion, I guess you could say, from Australia or whatever. So we picked up some shirts and some pants, and I think we were going to plan to meet up later or something like that, but then we both just passed out because we were so tired. And just like memories of the city. I just remember like walking around the city. It wasn't anything too fantastic, or it was very large. I remember it being a very large, very clean city too, very clean streets. Very amazingly nice people and everything, but a pretty common city. Lots of some cool architecture here and there, but a pretty common city for the most part. It looked kind of like an American city, a basic American city. Oh, and I remember my buddy Gavin as well. My Irish buddy Gavin, actually. He was who I was cranking with. I was in the dish pit with him back when I was working down in the scullery, and on the mess decks, working in the dish pit. I had met him down there, and he got actually in a drinking contest with some like Scottish guy or some English guy or something like that at a bar in Australia, and they were literally like drinking each other under the table, like they were having a literal drinking competition. It was really cool to just be in an Australian bar with all of this dark wood and all of this kind of like underlit, atmosphere and the scenery, and he's sitting there having this drinking contest with this authentic, like, Englishman or Scottishman or something like that, and my buddy Gavin, he won the contest. Again, you guys hear me talking about bars and drinking a lot in these videos, is because that's what we did in port. It's just like when you're out to sea for so long and you come into port after being out at sea for so long, you go to the bars, you go to the food, you eat food and you drink and you have a good time. That's what sailors do, and that's what we did in port, and that's what made it so fun. That's what made the memories so vivid, right? Like, that's what made these memories just stick out in my mind so much, is just the good times that we had. You hear stories about, all these anchor away stories about, like, the Navy, just, pulling up your anchor and going to port to port to port to port, and just from going to bar to bar. And mind you, like, this is bar hopping in different locations around the world. Like, not just around your town, this is going around the world and basically bar hopping. And that's where the memories are born. That's where the good times come from, and that's why Australia remains one of the most vivid and best experiences of my entire life. And I can't wait to go back and return again to the places that I went on this trip, because it was such an amazing place to be in, and I can't wait to be a part of it again. I know I'm going to go back someday to all these places. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to make that a future goal of mine, is that in the future, when I've got, more money, like stowed away and stuff like that, I'm going to go back to all of the places that the Navy took me, so that I can actually have like a real, like civilian experience there, because that's something that I didn't get to have while I was in the Navy. I was always on a time limit. I always had to go. I always had to be somewhere, and I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do. So one day I will be back to all all of these locations, hopefully. Keep your fingers crossed. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video today, part 9 of my Navy experience, regaling you guys with my tale of Australia. Coming up next, I'm probably going to do Malaysia and Singapore together, because I didn't have as much time in Singapore and in Malaysia, so there's time to do those two ports together. But again, very, very interesting and intriguing experiences coming up for those videos that you guys will not want to miss. But thank you guys for joining me once again for the next part of my Navy experience. Join me tomorrow when I'm going to be discussing Singapore and Malaysia. And until next we meet, take care guys, and I'll see you later.